It's difficult for Australians to think about even buying one property, let alone buying properties number 2 and 3. So in this video, we're going to discuss how to get from property 1 to property number 2 and then build up to property number 3. And the reason is most Australians get stuck. Around 70% of Aussies only buy one investment property and can't actually break into the market to build their property portfolio to assets 2 and 3. In the buyer's agency here at Purpose Property, when I'm discussing with clients what they're looking to buy, most everyday Australian families probably want to build a property portfolio around 2 to 4 houses with a total value of around $2 to $3 million. Because as you hold that asset base over a 10, 20, 30-year window, those assets will grow over time. You can then sell down 1 or 2 assets and then hold the others for longer term cash flow, or sell down the lot and invest into commercial or invest into the stock market at that point in time. So let's discuss further about breaking into properties number 2 and 3 in your property investment journey. So what can buying those multiple properties do for you and your family? Firstly, they can help you build equity. That's the foundation of building any property portfolio. We tend to think about growth first and cash flow second when it comes to building a property portfolio. And that's exactly what I've done in my journey. We looked at blue chip, good quality houses first to build up the equity and continue to grow the asset base. Building multiple properties over time can then lead towards you looking to replace your income, which is the vision for most investors. Now, the way you might do that is start to add granny flats or secondary dwellings to these deals to start boosting the cash flow and making the holding costs a lot easier, and then eventually building your passive income. Number 3, you can unlock those choices sooner. You don't even need to get to the point where you're getting 100K passive income. If you've bought houses 1, 2, and 3, and that's all you need from your asset-based point of view, you might be able to then go 2 to 3 days a week at work rather than working 4 to 5 days a week. Because you've bought the assets you need to hold over a long period of time, you can let growth do its thing and start making more lifestyle choices sooner. And another point is creating that freedom. It's about why are you doing this? My why is my boys, as you can see in the photo here. Creating more choices for myself and my family is so important. And doing things that are meaningful and purposeful to us. And that, to me, is spending time together. Being able to pick up my boys from school earlier, drop them off, have more holidays each year, and be flexible with my calendar and my schedule. So let's get practical and uncover the steps to build out this asset base from properties 1 to 3. Step number 1 is to buy with the growth focus in mind. Now you can see there's a photo of Emily and I there at a ugly duckling property because we're looking for value. We were focused on buying deals when we started our property portfolio where we could manufacture value through renovations and build equity over time. You don't necessarily need to do renovations like Emily and I did here, but we were doing these renovations to fast track our property journey and create growth quicker. So start with a property that will grow in value. Look at undervalued suburbs. Look at the strong signs of demand. You've got to weigh up the supply and demand metrics on these types of deals, and also look at that value add potential if you are wanting to fast track that journey. If you don't want to wait for the market, then maybe look at adding value early so you can keep going in terms of your investing journey. Even a small 5% uplift can unlock your next move in terms of your property portfolio by allowing you to draw out funds from the bank. Emily and I looked at doing some cosmetic renovations, so painting, flooring, removing old carpets, upgrading the kitchens and bathrooms as best we could. Reconfigure homes if you can. If you can squeeze in a 4th bedroom and it doesn't ruin the floor plan, then that's great. And rent-ready uplifts. Can we boost the renter yield based on the work that we're doing, which is boosting the cash flow and improving our holding costs? This leads me into step number 3, which is harvesting the equity that's been created in properties 1 to then get into properties number 2 and 3. If you look at our journey, this is a photo of Emily and I at our very first property. And it took about 2 years to save a deposit for this home, which was around $66,000. It then took us another 2 years to harvest the equity and to buy our second property, which was the Baby Queenslander. And those were actually the very first videos I created with Emily on this YouTube channel about 5 or 6 years ago. And you can go back, if you saw by the oldest videos that are out there, we're talking about going from property 1 to property 2 in documenting that journey here on YouTube. So after 12 to 36 months, whether the market has increased or you've created value, or ideally you've had both occur, then it's time to look at this harvesting of equity. So get the property revalued. Go to your broker and go to the banks and get a market valuation of what the bank thinks that property is worth. If you have done a renovation, ideally you're getting an in-person valuer because they're going to see the massive transformation from all the hard work you've done renovating the home. You then want to refinance this property to release the equity. And so that's what we did on this first deal. We'd renovated, we'd added value, and the market had increased over time. And we refinanced deal number 1 to buy property number 2. And this is dependent on your serviceability. And so you have to work with the brokers and the banks to work with the right lender at the right time to get access to these funds. And then use those funds. So if you are able to refinance $50,000 or $70,000 or $100,000, in our case, I think we were able to refinance a good portion of the funds we needed for deal number 2, and we had some cash savings. That's how we were able to get the funds together to buy property number 2. And this leads me into step number 4, which is buy property number 2 or property number 3 with your greater strategy in mind. You need to be strategic with each of these purchases because you don't get many opportunities to spend $500,000, $800,000, $1 million every day. And so you want to make sure you are buying the right deal for yourself and your family. So you've got this equity, it's time to use it well. Plug the cash flow gaps. If you are lacking cash flow, maybe look at deals that are going to boost your cash flow to allow you to keep growing the property portfolio. And this is what I've done for myself in deals, 4 and deal 6 and deal 8. Going back through our property investing journey, we bought 3 blue chip houses in Southeast Queensland, but then bought a unit block in Coffs Harbour to level out and balance our cash flows. So if you're feeling stuck after buying maybe a growth property for property number 1, it's okay to pair it with a property that has a granny flat or a dual income to balance your personal cash flow situation, and then you maybe go back to growth again. It's got to be strategic to your specific circumstances based on the deals that you're looking for. Look for any levers or levers. Pull the lever, Kronk. I always talk about levers. Do we get a property that has strata potential or value add potential or granny flat potential or reconfiguration potential of the home? Anything with a lever that you can pull now or into the future is opportunity. And that's the way I see it. We're looking for opportunistic deals where we can buy something maybe now and then pull a lever, in 3 years where we want to do the granny flat or we want to do a strata title or a subdivision, or we want to come back and renovate the kitchen at that point to add value and then pull out equity again. The third point here is stack your uplifts. Each win here that you're making, a little renovation, increasing the rental returns, refinancing with your broker, you're stacking these wins, and all of this adds up to you building a property portfolio over time. This leads me into step number 5, which is going from deals number 2 to deal number 3. And this can be a very big hurdle. Just as big as the hurdle is from 1 to 2, can it be for investors to go from 2 to 3 properties? Because you're really becoming a more sophisticated investor, hopefully, at that point. And so you need to set a game plan to go from deal number 2 to deal number 3 and keep growing that asset base. Let time do the heavy lifting for you. If you bought well and you bought with good fundamentals, looking at the supply and demand with land and location being the scarce asset when we buy property, then ideally you're getting growth out of this asset and it's creating equity year on year, compounding over time. You then want to go through the same process we spoke about before. Revalue, recycle the equity, and repeat that process of building out the property portfolio. Thirdly, you want to be very wary of the cash flow situations. Now, it needs to be positive enough for you to keep borrowing. It doesn't mean that the deals need to be positive cash flow, but you've got to balance the negative cash flows with maybe some higher cash flow deals over time to continue growing the asset base. And this truly is the secret sauce, and probably why you're watching this video, is that it's so difficult for people to actually buy property 1 to property 2 and property 3. And the reality is you need to work very closely with the brokers and the banks. They are the key that allows you to unlock the equity and then buy another deal. And you need to be willing to take on a little bit more risk if you want to grow a property portfolio faster. And if you go back through our journey using that same example of the 3 deals we bought first, we used Commonwealth Bank, so the biggest bank here in Australia with the yellow symbols. We used CBA directly working with the bank at that time because we weren't any wiser to get the loans to buy property deals 1, 2, and 3. Then we went back to CBA and they said, we're tapped out. You're tapped out as a couple, Luke and Emily. You're not going to be able to buy any more properties. You're done. You're finished. Well, I didn't take no for an answer. With myself being a chartered accountant at that time and Emily working in a government role, we knew we had stable jobs and solid incomes and we knew where our cash flows sat. And so we went to a second/third tier lender known as Pepper Money to buy our very next deal. And they were willing to give us up to $2 million in 2021 to buy our fourth deal at that point in time. And that's exactly how we bought a $1.4 million unit block. And so it's worth using these higher risk lenders for a season, for a period of time, to then go back to the main tier banks at a later date. And so that's what we did. We might have had to pay a 1 to 2% interest rate premium. Say we were paying 5% interest rates on the CBA loans. We may have had to pay a 7% interest rate on the Pepper Money loan. Then after 12 to 24 months, we were able to refinance that back to the bigger banks and drop the interest rate from 7 to 5% again. And I've been going through that the last few years. The most recent purchases I've made have been with higher risk lenders, at a 1 to 2% premium. The deals I bought in Ipswich that I've shared on the YouTube channel, for example. But now I'm in the process of refinancing those deals back to NAB as a main tier bank, and they're comfortable with the deals that I bought and the risk profile and the cash flows and the serviceability. So the same thing applies to you. Be willing to work with the brokers and the banks and follow these steps to then get from properties 1 to property 2 and property 2 to property 3. Now, if you're looking for a Brisbane-based buyer's agent to help you secure your own home or an investment property here in Southeast Queensland in the next 3 to 6 months, head over to purposeproperty.com.au. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What's the hardest thing that you're finding to go from property 1 to property 2 and 3 and so on? Is it dealing with the brokers and the banks and the limitations on your serviceability? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you give this video a click right around here, because YouTube thinks this one is the one for you to watch next. I'll see you over there. Peace.